I'm Danny, and this is the Scream Princess podcast. Welcome back to the Scream Princess podcast with me, Danny, and today's guest. He's back since Romford Horror Festival, where I had him doing the chili sauce challenge, and I did promise we'd give you a proper podcast with MJ Dixon of Mycho Pictures, like Pictures Entertainment.
A bit of both. It started off as Mycho Pictures, and then it became Mycho Entertainment because we were like doing all sorts of other weird stuff. But I kind of miss like the Mycho Pictures name. I really like.
I guess Pictures is like the movie part, and then entertainment's like
exactly.
the other bits. Because you have a podcast too, so I did just say that you know how this goes more than I do because you've been doing this a lot longer than me, and you know what you're doing, and I'm still winging it. So,
Well, but I think with anything you never stop winging it. I think that's the secret.
That's true. And I'm sorry I'm late. Obviously, the viewers don't know that I'm a little bit late. I've had all kinds of cat related drama. So I was looking after my friend's cats. He's away on holiday. And I went into the kitchen to feed them, and they have committed a murder. There was a giant dead spider. And anyone who knows me knows I'm not a fan of spiders. And not only was it dead, like when they crunch up when they're dead, they'd also taken legs off. So it wasn't just like I had to deal with that like one bit of spider. There was also near the food bowls, there was a leg, and over near the bin there was a leg. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. And for a little bit there, I was having a panic because I literally was just going to walk out and be like, the cats are going to have to fend for themselves tonight. But then I realized I could just hoover the corpse. So I did that. And then I fed the cats. I don't know which one it was. He's got three. So I don't know who the culprit was or whether they all, I don't know, did this together. And then I came home and then I found a big sicked up hairball from one of mine. So I had to deal with that too before I could actually pull myself together to do a podcast. So that was nice. It was actually in this room as well. It was in the studio. As I walked in and I was like, oh, I did hear one earlier today.
Mine always does too. When she does a hairball, she always does two. And I always find the first one, and then I'm like, right.
There's always two. No, mine are one, but they come out like big pellets. It's like an owl pellet. And I think it's the girl because she's long haired, and obviously we're coming into the spring, summer, and she's like obviously grooming herself a lot to get the winter coat out. But she has been doing quite a few of them recently. But it's just when I heard something earlier and I went to investigate, but I found her in a different room and the boy was asleep. So I was like, it wasn't him. She was in another room and there was nothing. I realized she'd actually done it in here and then done a runner. So anyway, we are here now. Finally.
Yes, we made it.
Yes, and I'm glad to have you back. I feel like actually at Romford, we kind of covered lots of like little bits of lots of the films that you've done so far. And we did the chili sauce challenge, but I think I was really scared after the first time I'd done it that we had a really little bit of that real hot one together. Whereas like later on when I was getting a few more people to do it, they were getting a bit braver. So I feel like we might have to get you to I have to send you a bottle. Well, I feel like you've been hard done by.
For me as well. But then after that I was like, oh, like, you know what, maybe my tolerance for spicy food is actually pretty good. And then so I picked up some like super spicy hot like ramen for my lunch one day.
Right.
And honestly, I could like feel it reacting like with my stomach.
Some of those are really hot. Some of the like Korean ones you get from the supermarket.
And I was like, this is like, I thought I've never eaten anything that I could feel. It felt hot on the way in.
Yeah.
And then I was like, for the rest
you
of
were
the day,
dreading it coming back out.
It feels hot in my stomach.
Yeah.
Like I've never felt anything like that before. It was just crazy. So, but if we'd had that on the day,
well, that was the thing.
I was all right though.
The first one I had, I could feel it burning my insides, and I was just like, this is so uncomfortable. And I didn't know like how to make it stop because nothing was kind of helping.
Yeah.
But I did kind of do the challenge with a few more people, and I was getting a little bit braver. And do you know who actually smashed it? Was Alan Bryce from Dark Side magazine. I had a feeling he would because I know he's a bit of a chili fiend, but he had a massive scoop of this sauce on one of those poppadomi things I had. What were they? The vegan prawn crackers, and he was fine. And both the
Good.
boys from Tiz films, they also had a bit big. Well, I think Mike did, and then I think Alex felt like he had to do the
Yeah.
same to save face, and he was a little bit pink. But anyway, anyway, we managed to survive the weekend.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, we did, and we didn't die from eating hot
No,
sauce. So
we didn't
that's
die. So I thought I'd ask you a bit about crowdfunding because I know, like,
yeah,
obviously, as filmmakers, and for people watching or listening who may or may not be filmmakers and wondering, how we get funding, obviously, you can go down the producer route and find funding. It can be very, very difficult with finding investors as well. You can lose some of your creative control because the investors have then got a say of, what they
yeah.
want, who they want you to cast, things they want to be in the script. But obviously, finding money yourself is tough. So this is where crowdfunding can quite often come in independent film. And I think we've both had a go. I think you kind of seem to do it a little more successfully again.
I don't know. I think you do all right as well.
I've
I
done
mean,
all right with my crowdfunders. I've only
yeah,
done very, very small ones for
yeah.
short films, but I think, if you're doing a feature film, you're obviously needing a bit more money. So what are your experiences with crowdfunding?
I think it's a weird one because when I first started out doing it, so I did one for my very first film, and I think we probably made this was in like 2010.
Mhm.
So like back then, the idea of just giving people money before you'd even made a film was like not only like really alien, but people thought you were crazy, like for suggesting it.
Yeah.
Like the very thought of crowdfunding, people thought was like a scam or like like or just stupid, like it could never work.
Hmm.
Um, and so Slash House eventually we had to like my friend's parents invested some money. I had like £1,000 on like a credit card, and we just pulled that together really, and just kind of made it happen. Um, but we raised about £300 on a crowdfunder
Right.
um, back then, and like it took me 2.5 years to finish the film, and I remember just one day going, okay, like I guess we put like all these people, and like back then as well, we did it like so it was like £10 for a DVD, and then like £30 for like a producer credit on it.
Hmm.
So at the end of the film, was all these producers who just like thrown 30 quid our way at
Yeah.
some point or another.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but it was people were really, really, really unlikely to put money into it back then. And to be honest, the people who did were like people I knew personally who would say, "What is this?" And I'd explain it to them, and they go,
Hmm.
"Okay, so it sounds like it's a good cause," and they throw some money on it or whatever.
Yeah.
But over the next couple of years, crowdfunding became a bit more understood by people,
Mm.
which weirdly happened when we were doing our second campaign for Legacy of Thorn. Um, so we launched that. We were looking for about I think we were looking to raise about 5 grand
Mm.
on that, and at the same time, Zach Braff from Scrubs launched the crowdfunder for like 1.2 million
Yeah, which is
on the same
crazy.
thing, and like crowdfunding up to that point had really been for very, very independent
Mm.
creators. And so as we were running this, Zach Braff, literally the day we launched ours, he launched his. And I was like incensed. Like, I was like, this guy literally has like Scrubs money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and he's asking people to fund his film. Um, and so I was kind of frustrated by it at the time. But now I realise that not necessarily him, but people like him kind of added a lot of legitimacy to crowdfunders.
Hmm.
So when we came to doing our next one, um, the trouble with the second film we did was that that was a mixture of crowdfunding, which we didn't raise a lot. It was about 1,500 quid we raised through
Hmm.
crowdfunding, and then the rest we got through private investment. Um, But by the time we came to our next film, I realised a really, really important thing was that, and you'll know this, the hardest way to make money ever in the history of the human race is to make independent horror movies.
Yeah.
Like, literally, if you want to make money, do literally anything else. Like, so what I realized there was that it was going to be really hard for us to get investment back. And
Mm,
so at that point, I said, right, so I can continue forward taking investments from people, but now I know full well that it's virtually impossible for me to get that investment back.
hmm
So my other option is that I crowdfund and we do it like that, you know. And so we did a crowdfunder for a film called Cleaver. It was really very last minute because another project that we'd been promised the funding for just fell through completely. And so we had these 2 weeks kind of free, but with now no film happening. And so I said, well, look, let's do a Cleaver movie. So we wrote the script like really, really quickly. And we had to raise the money in that time as well. And we raised not a lot. It was about 1,500 quid, I think. Um, and we barely made it. um, because again, although crowdfunding had got a little bit of legitimacy, it still wasn't loads.
mm.
You know, so we did that, and it wasn't a lot of money, but it was it was done without investment or anything. So it was just purely let's kind of go and do this thing with as much as we can raise,
Yeah. I
and
think the good thing with you is like even though it's a little bit of money, you can do a lot of the work yourself. Like you can do, I mean, you've written the scripts, you haven't had to pay a writer. You can do the camera work yourself. You can do the editing yourself. I think you can do the score. So even though you're raising, not that much money, you actually add a massive value to that project because you can do so much. And then obviously, of course, Anna's there doing the behind the scenes bits and the production with you. So, between the pair of you, you're kind of bringing a big amount to that project.
yeah, I think I've always undervalued like exactly how much we put into because if you had to essentially pay someone for every single
Yeah.
job that one of us does on the set, you'd be in tens of or hundreds of
Yeah,
thousands
even
of pounds.
catering, even feeding people, like
Yeah,
is really expensive if you're hiring caterers or even if you're ordering pizza or you're doing that. I actually always
yeah, yeah,
cater mine. I always cook everything the night before, and then it's like a picnic type thing, like a
yeah, yeah,
buffet,
yeah,
because it's like it's easier, and then you can get the right things for people as well. Like you can cover all the dietary requirements. And I think also making sure people are fed and they're happy on a low budget film is really important because hungry
yeah.
people don't really want to work, but people with happy tummies are more willing.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when people say, "Oh, catering's really good," because I'm like, I'll go in and there's some Jaffa cakes and stuff that people are like, "Oh, this is great," and I'm
Yeah,
like,
to be
"Oh, right."
honest,
So
I'll work for like tea and
I don't think I
biscuits.
really,
I was like, as long as there's tea
yeah,
and biscuits, I'm happy.
yeah, biscuits and pop and
Yeah.
crisps and um,
Yeah.
the choc. We at the minute we have the chocolate box as well, which is just like a gigantic box full of chocolate bars that Martin kind of refuels on like a
Oh,
kind of
amazing. Is that that's his
bi-monthly
producer
basis.
contribution, fueling the chocolate box?
Yeah, so he'll the box will disappear, and then next time we get on the set, it'll be full again, full of
That's so nice. He's like a
cream
chocolate
eggs and
fairy.
yeah, honestly, it's amazing. That's where you always find Murray. If you ever wondering where Murray is, he's hanging around by the chocolate
Where's
box
that
every
chocolate box?
time.
So you need to put like a little alarm on it so you can hear the chocolate box beep wherever it might be, and that's where you'll
I
find
really do.
people.
I really do. I'll send him on like a mission. I'll go, can you just go and grab that thing for me? And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, where is he? I walk in and he's just sat eating Kit Kats by the chocolate box. I'm like,
Fair enough.
right.
He needs the sugar for the energy.
Oh, yeah.
That would be my excuse. That would be
Yes.
my excuse. But so you've had, I mean, obviously that was like kind of your early crowdfunding
Yeah.
films, and you were raising kind of lower budgets. But I think obviously the further you've gone on, you're raising more, but also it's the perks. And that's what I think you have to make sure, firstly, that if you're putting perks out there, that the people who are, giving their money, because obviously whatever the perk they're getting it's the money to get the film. So you do have to obviously like know that obviously some of that money is going to be buying the t-shirts or buying, whatever
Yeah,
the things are that are going out there, the product. But obviously, like you have to make sure you deliver. And you
yeah,
always
yeah,
kind of do
absolutely.
really good perks. Like, and I
And
know like when
that's
people,
the hard part of it, I think.
yeah, I mean that's why people
Being
do it.
able to deliver it. Because I mean, I forever under budget when it comes to perks. Like no matter what I do, I think I've got it nailed, and then
Yeah.
we come to it, and I'm like, we don't have enough scripts, or we don't have enough. Like I'll under order on DVDs or something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
or like the price of
Like
t-shirts has gone up by the
oh,
time you
like
come to order
yeah,
it, or postage. Like I know I posted something recently. I sold a CD album to somebody in Canada, and the postage, I mean, I did charge for postage, but I didn't charge enough, and then it was double what I thought it was going to be. Obviously, I
yeah.
think anything going abroad now is a lot of money.
I mean, and also like you can't. The big thing for me was so like every week I'd go down to the post office with like a big bag or a couple of big bags full of stuff,
Yeah,
and just I'd go on the self-service machine and just sit and like beep beep, fill out my customs and put
yeah.
them all through, send them off. But now you can't do international um, postage on the self-service, so I've got to like sit and wait in a queue, and then they have to do every single package separately,
I've never
and
done
they
a
every single one
self-service.
they go,
I didn't
"What's
even
in
know that you
this?"
could self-service mail.
Yeah, and it used to be great. Like, I mean, it took a long time, but at least I could just sit and kind of
Yeah.
work my way through it. But now, like, they ask you the same questions about what's in
What's
this?
inside? None of
Why
your
is it? Why is
business.
it? Why is it way differently to that other one? You said that one was this. That this one way, and you're like, fragging heck,
Yeah.
So it's
And
a
then I always
massive
feel really bad
problem.
as well for the people waiting in the queue behind me when I've got loads of stuff.
Yeah,
Like when I do my calendars at Christmas, they'll often be like some to the States and some to Germany.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like you're filling in the customs things. And yeah, then I feel bad.
Yeah,
But
and
what can you do?
it's a hard part of it really. And then you've got other problems like someone got like a cleaver from and a knife from Pandemonium and a cleaver from Cleaver,
The knife
and
that
they
stabbed
kept sending it
me.
back to me
Okay.
because
You got
like
them sent back?
they kept sending it back to me because they were like, you can't send this to Australia in the post. This is like a meat cleaver, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's like a prop, and they're like, you can't send like a live sharp meat cleaver in the post, and I'm like, oh,
Can you not?
apparently not.
So how did you get around that in the end?
I haven't.
Oh,
So I'm just sat like this guy's package just keeps getting sent back to me. So
can
I'm
you not
like,
like, I don't know, change it for a
well,
plastic
I'm gonna
one?
have to do something. Either I'm gonna have to like kind of. The problem is they run it through scanners. So
Yeah,
like because initially it was just in a frame, and then I put it in like a box, thinking, okay, well that'll be fine because they'll look if they look in the package, they'll
yeah.
just now see this box. But they run it through a scanner, and they just see this
So
huge
this,
meat cleaver inside. It's like this big, and they're
yeah.
like, nope. And the same with the knife. This knife's like a
But
huge
what about
butcher's
if
knife.
you were a shop and you're ordering, like, I don't know, like I can order stuff from Shein. I've never tried to order knives from Shein, but I'm sure they have kitchen stuff and that could come from China. So some way, there must be some way you could do
Yeah, I
it.
guess I guess it might be something to do with Australian customs. I don't know.
I don't know. That's,
Um,
I mean,
yeah, because I
yeah.
have sent things like that to other people before. Like, we've sent weird, like, big machetes to America and stuff. Like,
Yeah, see, my props are always like I've done it, but I've done like a plastic knife, or I tend to actually rather than have them as pets, I should have them as pets, and I think I've sometimes done it, but sometimes I'll do it if I'm left over with stuff, and then I'll do it as like an after thing on eBay.
yeah,
But then I've had plastic knives. I have had like proper prop rubber ones. I have,
yeah. These are like huge, like proper real metal things, and like
yeah,
for whatever reason they're like,
can't do
well,
it.
send it back, and I'm like, okay, but it hasn't deterred me for some reason. Uh,
No. Is it ongoing? How long has this been going on, this Cleaver thing? Is it just, are you literally back and forth?
well, so this started right at the beginning of the pandemic. Um, the Cleaver came back to me, and we were sending out the Pandemonium stuff. So it was just before all that started, and I
Mhm.
was like trying to send this stuff out. Um, so I packaged them both up together and sent them back again. But at that time as well, it was really hard to get stuff out because you couldn't just go to
Yeah.
the post office.
Yeah.
So like I had to like basically get the post office to come pick it up. And I said, right, there's like a knife and a meat cleaver in there, and they give you a raised eyebrow. And I
Yeah.
said, is that going to be all right? And they go, I couldn't tell you, mate. And I'm like,
Right.
all right. So yeah, then you're like, yeah. It's the weird thing is, like, it's weeks though. You think, oh, it must have gone. It must have gone then,
Yeah.
because, and then like 6 weeks later, you just fucking get a knock on your door, and there's like the package, but it's got like fucking return to sender on it, like with the address scribbled out, and you're like,
I'm
what's
surprised you
happening?
haven't had the police knocking at your door instead
Oh
of just
man,
a
well,
return to sender. You'll have the police knocking at your door. Like, why do you keep trying to send a meat cleaver to Australia?
yeah, like it's just. But the thing, like my next plan, but I've never got round to it, was to basically put a note in there that says this is a prop, like just like, and explain the situation in a
I
letter.
think that you maybe
But
would have to do that.
but I don't know if they open the pack, because the packages never seem to be opened. They seem
Oh.
to run them through like like a X-ray scanner.
But surely when you fill in the customs form and it asks what it is, you put film prop.
Well, the thing is, what I have to do usually is put a prop
Right.
to say it's a movie prop.
Yeah.
So I thought that would get it through faster than saying it's a freaking meat cleaver, but
Yeah.
apparently not. So I don't. Also, Australia are funny about imported DVDs and stuff. So I wonder if
Are
that's part
they?
of it. Yeah,
Hmm. I don't know. Well, you need to find somebody who's going to Australia who can smuggle
I
it
know.
through.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
somehow. Or maybe by ship. Or, well,
What I'll do is I'll melt the meat cleaver down into
yeah. Like,
like a teddy bear shape or something.
yeah, or I don't know, a different courier rather than Royal Mail.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that could be a good
Maybe like,
idea.
I don't know. I can't
But
think of
during
any.
the pandemic as well, the other problem we had was that no one would send international mail anywhere. Like,
Hmm.
it's crazy. Like we'd because I'd go to UPS for sending documents and stuff, and they'd be like, "We're not sending anything international at the minute."
Yeah, I
And I don't.
remember like trying to send my calendars out that year, and I was like, will I be able to send them to America? And I don't think I could send them to America until like maybe January. I think the ones
Yeah,
to
yeah,
America were
that sounds
slightly
good.
late,
Yeah.
but obviously, what can you
So
do?
all that stuff is just a fucking disaster. But I mean, you just have to do your best. You know, um,
Mm,
and
you do. So, what
that's
kind
the
of
thing.
perks do you usually offer? I know you always do the t-shirts and sign.
Try to do well. T-shirts I try not to do with the crowdfunder because they're so frigging expensive. Like I make no money on T-shirts whatsoever.
Right.
So none of that money would like basically the price I sell T-shirts for is usually the price that they cost to have made. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
I used to have some on Teespring, and it was like you'd make
oh
hardly
yeah, I had to
any
stop using them
money.
because the prices just went up and up and up until
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
so they're
I've got
expensive to buy. So they would charge like, I don't know, it was like £19 or £25 or something for a t-shirt for somebody to order
yeah,
from there. But they would only actually give you like $4 from it and they'd make
yeah.
all the
Well,
money.
by the end of it, I was. It was like I'd have to charge someone 25 quid for a t-shirt before postage.
Yeah.
Like, and I just thought I don't want to do that. So I found a UK place which I like a little bit better.
Mm.
So we do t-shirts kind of as a separate thing, but I still do. We do DVDs, Blu-rays, digital download stuff,
Hmm.
posters. Um, for years I've done scripts, but they've just become really difficult, and I don't know how much people really want them.
I don't know. I
Um,
think the scripts have done the best for me, like signed scripts from the cast. For a,
oh,
but for
really?
a short
That's
film, it's
interesting.
not so bad because it's like only a few pages. Obviously,
Yeah,
for a
like
feature film, you're then
sending like
spending
a
a lot on
50-page
printing.
script through the post is like, or slash House 3 is like like 120-page script, so
Yeah.
it's like this big thick. So
I would
printing
do
those,
like the
putting them
day
send.
sides or something for like day
Yeah,
one
well,
side,
I
day
do
two
the dual
side.
side ones. What I need to do is do like either the four-sided ones or
Mm,
probably get them printed into a book. But this year I've tried something different. Because what I also do when I'm making movies is I draw a lot, like
yeah.
do concept art and stuff. And then that never really goes anywhere. Like
Right.
because um, you only really want to share art when you've just done it.
Yeah.
And then usually I can't because it's like big spoiler stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah. So you
so
want to
I
do
have it
very
there,
creative
and then I never
storyboards.
ever end up sharing it. So this year I'm doing something called the Cleaver sketchbook, like making of sketchbook. So it's like a bunch of like the concept art and like behind the scenes pictures and things like that in like a little kind of limited collectors like um like a little bit like the comics that we do, like
Right.
but as like a little kind of making of book.
That's
Um
cool.
it's just got like a bunch. So I thought I'd try that this year, and see if that's of interest to people. But I might put this, you know what? I might put the scripts up because people do seem to like those as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's like what will people want and what can you do that's like
yeah, I mean,
obviously.
maybe I'm really out of touch with it because I always think I always think people won't want DVDs anymore, and then they're the things that
Well, I
most
think
people
that would
want.
be the case with like most other genres, but I think with horror, people still want to collect. Like I actually had Phil and Hayden on the other day, and the room was behind Hayden. I was like, "How many DVDs have you got in there?" He was like, "About 11,000." He's like, "I will never watch them all in my lifetime." The room is crazy. He just said every time he sees one, he buys it and then he puts it on the pile to watch. And obviously,
Yeah,
he watches some of them, but some of them will never get seen. But I think horror film fans tend to collect like. And I still buy like DVDs or Blu-rays of like
yeah,
stuff if I'm
same.
going to watch it
But
again.
I thought the Blu-ray would be the big seller, but it just never has been. It's always
No,
DVDs
I
every
think just
time.
Blu-rays are slightly more expensive, and I see. I
Well,
don't.
also
It doesn't bother me whether I have a Blu-ray or a DVD of something. I'm
yeah,
like, meh.
same.
Like
In
it.
fact,
It's the
now
same,
I'm way more likely to buy something on DVD because I can play it on like my little portable DVD player if
right?
I want, or I can
Yeah,
play it on I can play it on the Blu-ray player, or
yeah,
I can play it wherever I want. So I'm like,
yeah. I
oh,
don't
I'll get the Blu-ray.
personally. I don't
Whereas
notice
DVD,
like a major difference in quality between the
yeah,
two.
I mean, I mean, same. So, um, but really, I buy them so that, like, if I need access to them, I've got them.
Yeah.
You know,
And also, there's going, what if something happens? What if suddenly people are like, "Oh, right, streaming's not working anymore. We're going to take streaming sites down, or we're going to take Amazon down, or we're going to, and like people have bought their stuff digitally, or they just watch it like on Prime or whatever.
well, that's my
Like,
big
what
worry.
if
I
those things
literally have like a
disappear?
pile of like animated films like right here,
Yeah,
um, just like for the kids because I was like, I kind of feel sad that they won't have like DVDs and stuff. Like
yeah,
everything will be streaming, and I was like, no. So I went on like a proper mission and just like started buying every like animated kids film I could find to make them like a little DVD library.
that's really cute. I actually like when I was moving out of London, or maybe a bit before that, actually, I had so many DVDs, and a lot of them were things that I bought just to watch, and then it was like I'm never going to watch that again. And I think I went through them all and I got rid of so much. And I actually just gave it to Tony Marden because I know he like sells them at convention and stuff. And I was like, here,
Yeah.
take all this because I'm never going to watch all of these. But I kept all of my Disney ones, all of like, the original like Disney princess movies, the classics. I kept all of those. And I don't have kids, but that you never know when you gonna want to watch a Disney princess
Well,
movie.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean my partner has kids, so I'm sure we'll watch them. I may take them to like the other house so that I can have more space for my stuff in this house. That might be how it works. But and like I've kept all of my favorites, like all of my like 90s horror, noughties horror.
Yeah.
Like I kept all of the ones that I'm definitely going to watch again. That's the
I just can't part with any. Like I'm terrible. Like I just keep filling the cupboard now in the on the landing with more. Like
Yeah,
I've run
it's
out of
just the
space everywhere else,
space.
so I'm just like. But
It's
I'll
the
come back like
space.
from charity shops on the weekend with like a pile and VHSs as well. I'm like terrible if I
I
see
don't have a
VHS.
VHS player.
I just reset mine up so that
Have
like
you? I've got two like baby videos of me that I want to like get converted, so I need to take them
right,
somewhere
all right, yeah.
to do that. But they're the only videos that I own. But
Well,
yeah,
there's something quite nice about just picking up like a tape and just popping it in the machine. Like I don't have to
yeah.
like turn on like the PlayStation or anything like that. I just put and I wanted to watch Cherry Falls recently, and that's the only format I had it on was
Ah. I
video.
think I
So
have
like,
that on. I think, did I get rid of that one? I think I still have it maybe on DVD.
oh, I
I'm
could
not
never get
sure.
rid of Cherry Falls. It's one of my
I'm not sure.
favorites.
But we're out of time for the first part. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little break and I will see you very shortly for part two. Welcome back to the Screen Princess podcast. So, most of your films, I would say that most of them are slasher films. You're a fan, you're like me, you're a fan of the slasher genre. So, a lot of your films,
Yeah, definitely.
like Pandemonium, Cleaver, Slasher House, they're all kind of slasher based. So, would you ever consider working outside the slasher? Is there another kind of horror subgenre that you'd quite like to?
Well, I think, I mean, I think like the slasher movie is kind of like the most like versatile like thing to work from. It's like because although all that stuff's like slasher, like based on slasher movies, what I've always tried to do is take like the foundation of a slasher movie and then go, okay, like so what can we do on top of that that would
Hmm.
make it new and interesting and fun? Um, so yeah, like I think I think that it affords me quite a lot of like kind of cool ways to tell stories. So I like, but that said, I mean, um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, probably at some point I'd love to do something just kind of completely like outside of all of that. I guess.
Hmm.
But a lot of the time, like stuff like Bannister Dollhouse and Hollower kind of allow me to do like more kind of psychological stuff or like
Hmm.
spooky stuff or like scary stuff or but it still kind of keeps within the kind of slasher
Yeah,
idea. I'm doing like a heist movie next week, like,
right.
but it's still like a kind of slasher movie at
Yeah.
its core.
Yeah, I mean, I love a slasher. You know that we've done
Of
podcasts about
course, yeah.
slashers before, and it's my favorite of the subgenres. And although I watch other stuff, like slashers, are always kind of got a place
But
in my heart.
I think slashers and rom-coms this is a really weird kind of correlation I thought of a few weeks ago. But slashers and rom-coms are like two film types that I feel like even if they're not good, they're watchable. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
true.
Like because like they essentially like are like an emotional kind of like release of something inside you. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, and a slasher is kind of like that moment of like being scared, but in a pattern that makes you feel comfortable. Each person's going to get knocked off one by one
hmm.
until there's like a final person who either wins or wins but loses ultimately.
Yeah,
And then rom coms are two people who are who are the opposites will eventually get together, and so
yeah,
that. So it's kind of like I guess like safe tension,
yeah.
you know?
It's a kind of a recipe that is never really kind of veered far from, but you kind of
Yeah,
get the
and like
same
and but
result.
that's what's good about it is like that it's kind of like a recipe that it's like a good bolognese or an apple crumble, really easy
Yeah.
to put together, but you know, it's
Yeah.
hard to fuck it up. I guess is
Well,
kind
I'm
of
not a fan of a rom-com, to be honest. Like, there's a couple
oh
of actresses that I can watch and stuff, and I will enjoy them if it's like maybe certain people, but generally they just annoy me because I'm like, oh, sappy people, boring. Yeah,
yeah,
not a
I
lover of
guess
a rom-com unless it's
rom
like,
coms are like to me they're like the kind of because comedy can be really hit and miss.
yeah.
I think
Well, I don't
the
like
same
being
as
forced to laugh. Like I'm like, I want to
yeah
laugh at stuff that's just naturally or accidentally funny, but obviously with a comedy. The jokes are in there to make you laugh. And I know I write comedy within my horror script, so I do that too. But when it's just comedy and they just want you to keep laughing all the time, I'm just like, this is just annoying me now. Like we have The Big Bang Theory on. And he loves it and he watches it all the time. And I'll watch it and I'll get into it when I'm watching it. But then I'm like, I don't want to be watching this. This is really annoying me. And I'm the same with like things like Friends. I'm like, I'd never choose to sit and put that on and that to be my viewing. But if it's on, I'll get sucked in. And then I think, God, I could
yeah
be
oh
doing
yeah.
a million other
I've
things and I'm
watched the
sucked into
entirety of
watching this
Friends probably
show.
about 2 dozen
So I've banned
times.
it from the house now. I had a whinge the other day. I
All
was like,
right, I
why are
can
we watching
understand.
this again? He was like, noted.
I understand. I've had to force myself to stop watching it because I've watched Friends from beginning to end when it was on TV,
Yeah.
and then they just repeated it on a cycle
Yeah.
forever since then.
Well,
And I
I remember having
just
like
watched the whole
Channel
thing.
4, and every time you turn Channel 4 on, it would be on. So I
Yeah.
never really set out to watch Friends, but I probably have seen every single episode just because
Oh
it
yeah,
was on TV and
I've
that
seen
was
the
what
whole
you
thing
got.
now probably
Mm.
about 2 dozen times, and eventually I had to go. You got to stop, man, because it's so easy just to sit down and go, "Oh, Friends is on. I'll watch this with my
Yeah.
tea."
I mean, I
You
love a
know,
binge watch.
midnight.
I love finding a show that I really love and having a binge watch, but not really a comedy show, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
Not
well,
for me.
I mean, Friends I find quite accessible and easy to watch. Big Bang
Mm.
Theory I did for a while, but I think
I
um,
will. It
but
does make me laugh, but then I get annoyed with myself for
but
laughing
my
at
problem with
it.
American comedy is that there's no subtlety whatsoever. They tell a joke and then they explain to you why it's funny, and then
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, well that's not funny anymore if you telling me why it's funny. Um,
So
you
are there
know,
any like tropes within the kind of slasher that you love or any that you kind of wish that would go away?
no, I love slasher movies. I think are great.
I
Like
can think about
I'm
them.
genuinely like I think it's really hard to fuck a slasher up. Like there's very few slashers that I watch and go, oh, I didn't enjoy that. Like
Yeah.
no matter the budget, no matter the the kind of flow of it, like if you're setting me up with a bunch of people to get killed and it can be gory, it could be not gory, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like the killer can look crap, the killer can look great, like it just does not matter to me. Like, because that that's inevitably what you want to see. Like,
Yeah.
is
No,
just people getting
true.
picked off one by one, and I love it.
It's true.
I think it's good fun.
And you've obviously created the Mycho Universe. So obviously within your films, you've got characters that are then turning up in other films. Um, so how do you decide when a character's going to come back in another film? Like what makes you decide, well, actually I might bring them in here or
I think early on I thought the desire to even start doing it was like we can have like people cross over into other movies.
yeah.
But then for a little while we kind of kept it to like slasher house movies are like springboards for like new characters, and then they can maybe have their own movies. But
Uh,
as we kind of started to move forward from that over the last few years, I've been like, oh well, who would be quite good to kind of bring over into like this series. So like the new Cleaver movie, which is a good segue, Cleaver
mhm,
3, we decided to kind of go, well, it's set in like a prison. So I was
mhm,
like, well, what are prisons full of? They're full of like other like murderers and stuff. And I thought,
mhm.
oh well, we've got no shortage of that. So like very quickly I kind of like started to look and go, well, who else can we bring over into this? Like who
Yeah.
either hasn't had their own movie or like we haven't seen for a while or would just be a really good mix to have in here. And so yeah, that was a really good kind of thing to go, all right, well who can we bring over into being like the other inmates in this prison, but
Yeah.
they're all kind of like previous Mycho, you
That's
know,
really fun.
killers and stuff. And so there's a lot of that
Mm.
goes on, and the plan is to kind of do that going forward. We'll pick different characters to bring over into
Mm.
various projects and things like that.
So which kind of other film universes have you been inspired by the most?
Well, I think everyone assumes that I was inspired by the Marvel universe,
Because you do
but
love a comic book.
because I do love a comic book,
Yeah.
which is so I guess technically that's probably true. I've obviously grew up reading comics,
Mm.
so like
I think your
uh,
characters have a very comic style as well. Like
yeah,
I know you have the micro comics, but you can see your characters being in like you can it's easy to envision them in comics.
and I think I grew up like reading this issue Superman versus Wonder Woman or something like, and I always loved stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I always like the idea of like, oh well, like why can't we have like Freddy versus Jason, but like all the time, like why can't that be like a
Yeah.
thing, the new Saw movie. This time he fights Candyman. Like
Yeah. Or
that
so
would be
you love
great.
Alien versus Predator and Freddy versus Jason.
Oh yeah, like I'm fully into into all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I love the idea. But I mean, my main inspiration weirdly was Kevin Smith's Askew Universe, um, where like if you watch Kevin Smith movies, especially like the first kind of five,
Hmm.
um, characters start just showing up across the movies, and like it's not a big deal, but like a comic book shop owner will from one will show up in another, or
Right.
like a character will from a main character from one will show up as like a
I love
side
that because that's
character
like
in
his
another.
mates, isn't it? He's like, come and do this.
Yeah, and then like in one movie, like um, an actor turns up several times playing several different characters because obviously they've played different characters across the movies, and I
Right.
quite liked. And so I was like, oh, I quite like this idea of like, um, like just basically all the movies are in the same world,
Hmm.
so that's kind of started it off, and then I think it was when I was watching Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. I went to see that about 7 times at the cinema, and while I was watching that, I was like, it'd be really cool if like you could do this for horror movies. Like like you could have like a Freddy and a Jason and a
Hmm.
Candyman and an Amityville horror, and like what if one day Jason decides to fight Pinhead, but he the fight happens in the Amityville horror house. So why couldn't that be a thing? And obviously I didn't own all the rights to that, so I was like, okay,
Mm.
well, like maybe I can
Create your
make up
own.
my own
But you've done so much
my
now
own
that
things.
you're
And
at a position where you can do that. Like you've created.
yeah,
So tell me about your slasher characters, and then we'll go into talking about Cleaver mostly.
well, I think it started off. I wanted to do like a bunch of movies. Well, two or three movies, and then do a film called Slasher House, which would be like a kind of Royal Rumble of like a bunch of these characters. But then the more that I kind of developed that, the more Slash House was the idea everyone was interested in. And so I was looking for something in between after I was trying to get my first feature off the ground. I was looking for something to kind of work on in the interim, and I thought, oh well, maybe it'd be cool if I wrote Slash House and then I kind of knew what I was writing the kind of previous films
Hmm.
for. But then that film kind of just took on a life of its own, and it felt like a really simple film to make because it was like five characters in one location, and
Hmm.
I was kind of like, okay, well maybe we could just go and do this, and then kind of springboard from there and pick the characters that are popular and fun and kind of and go from there. So that's essentially how that started, and we had like Thorn, Cleaver, the Hollower, and a character called Corbin, who's popped up in all the Slash House movies.
Hmm.
And so then we kind of went and did like a Cleaver movie and a Thorn movie and a Hollower movie, and then the idea became, well, we'll do Slash House 2 and we'll introduce like four new slasher villains, which were like
Right.
Molly Bannister, the Panda, Jacob the Panda, Mole Man, and I can't remember who the fourth one was now. Oh, Gravestone, the big skeleton puppet.
Right.
Um, and introduce those guys, and then like we'll pick some to get their own movies. So obviously Molly Bannister and Jacob got their own movies in
Hmm.
Pandemonium. Yeah, and it just kind of went from there. And then with Slash House 3, we introduced like 25 slashers.
So that's going to keep you busy for a really long time with
Well,
like
this
spin-offs.
this was the thinking was if we introduce like basically like 2 dozen characters, then suddenly I've just got this huge pot to just pick from to like
Yeah.
do like different types of movies with. Um, and so yeah, that kind of became like the thing where I was like, okay, well we'll just we'll create the story kind of needed it. If
Mm.
you've seen Slash House, you've seen Slash House 3, so when you see Slash House 3, that'll make sense that we needed kind of 25 killers for various reasons.
Yeah.
But um, so then it was a case of, oh well, now we've got this big roster of characters that we can kind of pick
Yeah.
from. So yeah, it was just so now we've got this kind of huge, like
Ooh.
universe to kind of
Yeah.
tell stories in.
To work with. And where can people watch the movies that you've got out? Because I know you always tend to get a DVD release or Blu-ray release,
Yeah.
and they'll sell in kind of mainstream supermarkets and things. Then after that, streaming, can people stream on Amazon?
Yeah, so a lot of our stuff is available on either Tubi or Plex, which is like a big up and coming one at the minute.
Right.
Or Amazon Prime is another. I mean, they're all dotted around at the minute.
Yeah.
Different people have
This is the
different
thing, isn't it, with
prices.
streaming? It's like you can watch it in this country on that side, on this country you can watch it there. So you
Yeah,
have to kind of hunt.
but
But
we are
obviously,
looking to, I think, in kind of early next year to consolidate everything into kind of like more of like one place,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
Because a
And
lot of the
obviously,
rights
people
are
can
about to
go
come back
onto
to us.
your IMDb and see what you've got released, so they know what things they should be searching for
Yeah, and
to watch things.
if you go to myco.co.uk as well, I try to kind of make that like a place where you can go and figure out where you can watch
Right.
each different film. So there
Handy.
is that, and then and also there we've got loads of like short films you can watch, and then also we've got a Patreon as well, which
Yeah.
is like a monthly thing we do, and we release about 3 or 4 films on there every year, and we've just done our first web series,
Ooh.
which launches next month. So that's like 3 episodes.
Right.
They're about 10 minutes each, but that's like delving into. It's called Hexagon Data One, and it's basically like a prequel to like the slasher house movies and how kind of the government the government facility and everything that is featured in
Hmm.
Slash House 3 kind of came to be, and the kind of origins of all that. So it's
Right.
yeah, it's quite cool, and it's been quite an exciting thing to put together.
So your current crowdfunder at the moment is running, and is that the third Cleaver movie?
Yeah, that's
There. So
Cleavage, I
tell me
think.
about the Cleaver part of the universe.
So yeah, Cleaver. He was weirdly. I wrote him as like a kind of like what was like the biggest cliche I could think of was like a killer clown with a meat cleaver. And the idea was like he'd be like the first character to die in the film, but it was just to get people kind of like up to speed.
Hmm.
Oh, so like these are like slasher villains in this house, um, and he was like really popular. So he ended up with his own movie, um, and then that was popular. So we did like a sequel, which was kind of like a road movie,
Hmm.
and then that was really popular. And that kind of created a bigger fan base for us, really. And so I think we probably would have done it earlier, but as you know, Paul, who played Cleaver, died during the pandemic.
Hmm.
And so we kind of weren't really sure what to do at that point, because me and him had kind of plotted out this kind of road for the character to go down, essentially.
Yeah.
And so we kind of sat and ummed and ahed on it. And in the meantime, we kind of went and did a new Thorn movie, and while we had to give ourselves a bit of time to kind of think about it,
Mm.
and in the end, we kind of realised that there was still a story there to tell with his daughter, who we introduced in the
Mhm.
first film, and who was the main character in the second film. And so, I mean, Michael, we're all a little bit about girl power anyway. So we
Yes.
were like, okay, well, like, why don't we do that? Like, and we kind of do like a third Cleaver that's based on that, and make her the kind of main character. And
Yeah.
so that's where
And
the
it's
kind of
nice to kind
idea
of honor
started.
him as well by kind of keeping it going and
Yeah,
having, because
and I
he was a
think,
great guy.
oh yeah, he was wonderful. And
Mhm.
the film is really also a little bit of a kind of like us dealing with kind of the of us having to kind of carry on without him, and
Mhm.
and so because the character deals with a lot of those parallels, because obviously she's dealing with the death of her father
Yeah.
in the movie and stuff, like in a kind of twisted way, because obviously he's still like a murderous killer clown,
Yeah.
but but there are a lot of parallels to kind of to dealing with that, how we felt about that, and
Mm.
so it's been quite cathartic as well to kind of put it together. um, but yeah, it's also really early on, like before Cleaver 2 came out. I was like, okay, the third one's going to be like a prison break movie, like
Mhm.
and so because the first one was kind of like a riff on Halloween, and the second one was like a riff on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So then everyone was like, well, what's the third one going to be? And I think everyone expected it to be like a slasher movie
Mhm.
riff again. And I went, no, it's going to be like the infamous 90s sci-fi Christopher Lambert movie Fortress. Um, you know, and just surprise everybody with, by riffing on like an obscure film that nobody'd ever heard
Yeah.
of. So well, I mean, obviously I've heard of it, but as mainstream kind of
Yeah.
people go, not a lot of people would know what Fortress was. But yeah, so I was like, let's do like a kind of prison, like a slasher movie, prison break movie.
That's
That could
fun
be
though.
that could be fun.
It's fun, it's
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
So
So
you're
then we've got
crowdfunding this at the moment.
yeah, that's right.
And how long have you got left? I mean, this episode is
Uh,
going to go out in a couple of days. So,
So yeah,
um,
I think as of today we have. I can tell you, I can look it up. But I think it's about 11 days to go. Yeah,
okay. So
11
what are
days
we on
left.
now? It's Friday, and this is going to go out on Wednesday. So there's still going to be like about a week there that people can help
All right, good.
the
That's good. That's
crowdfund.
good. Yeah. Um, yeah, and we've got loads of stuff, perks and stuff on offer in return for donations. So anything people can throw on, really helpful. Um, you know, and
Are you trying to show me? I can
um,
see an iPad.
yeah. I'm spinning through it and seeing if it jogs my mind
So what
for
perks
anything
do you
to.
have this time? Have you got like producer credits?
So we've got yeah, producer credit. So you can get it starts at like you can get like a thanks credit on the movie, um, for like £5, and it goes all the way up to like you get DVDs. You can get some. We've done some copies of the previous movies. We've
Hmm.
got like a sketchbook of like some of the concept art and behind the scenes pictures and things. Producer credits, like screen used cleavers,
But not if you live
all
in
the way up to like
Australia. No.
yeah. I mean, even then, I'll figure it out. Don't worry. Um, all the way up to like if you're a production company, you can literally get like your name like on at the beginning of the movie with all
Hmm.
where because we're producing this with also in conjunction with HP Films that we've worked with a bunch in the past.
Hmm.
But and so you can kind of have your production logo on like all the posters
Hmm.
and things like that, all the way up to like literally we'll literally write a role for you like into the movie, like at the very top tier, the maximum cleavage tier, you know,
Maximum cleavage. I like what you
which
did
is the
there.
name of the movie. Is Maximum Cleavage. I
Amazing.
should probably have led with that, really.
You should have,
Um,
yes, you probably should have said that.
yeah. Well, like everyone, we ummed and ahed for years. Should we really call it Maximum Cleavage?
Yes.
And I mean, in the end, it was really up to Holly Ann because she's the kind of front and center of the movie, and so
Right.
I sat down with her and said, like, are you cool with us calling it Maximum Cleave? And she was like, yeah, like
You
that's
know
like,
what? It's a name that's going to get attention, and that's what you want. A title that's going to attract people's attention, when,
yeah,
even when they haven't got a clue about the rest of the films. They see a film called Maximum Cleavage, and they're going to be like, "Ooh, what is this?" And that's kind of what you want.
yeah,
I mean, look
absolutely.
how
And
well
it's a
Dead Hooker in
reference
the Trunk
to,
did.
it was just a reference to our previous crowdfunders. The top tier was always called Maximum Cleavage.
Right.
And yeah, and then uh, we always said, if we do a third one, that'll be the name of it.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's
and now we're
exciting.
here, and
When are you looking at
I have
filming
to
this
put my
one?
money where my mouth is.
When are you going to film this one?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
did I
what was
cut out
that?
that? When are you going to film this one?
So this starts filming at the end of next month, June.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I've got my work cut out for me because
Who have you got
there's a
in the
lot to do
cast?
between now and currently. Oh well, I mean, the cast is the best part. So we've got returning for the third time. Um, Holly Ann Dodkins playing Little Miss Cleaver. So she started off doing these films when she was like 11 or 12 or something.
Right.
Like, and now she's like an adult.
Yeah.
Like honestly, for what I have no idea why she wants to come back, but she was like, I'd love to do it. And I was like, okay then, like.
Amazing.
I genuinely thought like she'd be like, oh no, I'm not doing any more of those stupid slash movies I did when I was a kid. And she was like, no, no, I'm in. So we also have the infamous Aaron Jackson returning as the man in the mirror from Slash House 3.
Mhm.
We've got Will Marshall, indie legend, who's died in every film he's ever been in.
Has he
Returning,
really? Has he got a bigger death
yeah,
count than I have?
he
Oh,
might do, you know.
I think he probably
Um,
has because I often don't die, or you don't know if I die. Maybe I die.
this will be like the 14th film he's done with us,
I think that's more than I've died.
and so that's just our films that he's died
Right.
in. So there are more, I'm certain.
How does his character get to come back into all of them?
It, until now, he's played a different character every time.
Has he done that?
We started running out of ways to disguise him.
Was it like we'll have a beard in this one, a mustache in this one?
Yeah, honestly, genuinely, like so. It's like, right, you have to shave for this one, right? You have to have a mustache for this one, yeah. And do you remember the curly wig from Mask of Thorn?
Did he have a curly wig in that one? Yes.
We gave him like a Ross Geller wig and a
Yes.
mustache to
What did he
disguise him
have
in
on in
that one.
Pandemonium? What did he have there? I think he was pretty
Yeah,
normal there. Was he?
yeah. Well, over the years, we've kind of just leaned into it a little bit, I think, and just
Yeah.
gone, it's fine. But he wears a mask quite a lot of the time in this,
Hmm.
which helps. Um, and then we've got Jacob Jakushi from Pandemonium returning, um, and Knucklehead from Slash House 3, the big
Oh.
Canadian ice hockey player with a skinned face. So he's back as well. And then we've got one more that we haven't unlocked yet, but it's going to be
Oh,
a little bit of a secret surprise. Um,
secret one.
so yeah, it's a little sneaky left fielder.
How are
Um,
you releasing these then? Is that going to be like just before? Is that going to be a secret until the film's
so
done?
every time we hit a certain point in the
Ah,
crowdfunder, we open
okay. You release
character.
the.
So we've got the last one to unlock at the end.
Ah,
Um, I'm quite excited.
yeah. So if you are watching this and you can help the crowdfunder, have a look on there. I'm going to have all the links at the end anyway, or look on the Myco website and you'll find the links there. So if you can help, then please do because Mike's films are always great to watch, and always fun at like horror festivals.
Well, thank you.
So, well, thank you very much for coming on.
No, you're very, very
You got
welcome.
anything else you want to plug while you're still here?
um, I guess, yeah, we have, like I said earlier, we've got a new web series launching next month. It's probably going to be about halfway through June now, I think. But
Hmm.
that's a kind of origin story about Hexagon, which is the kind of slasher hunting government wing of our kind of universe. So it's set in the 70s, and it's kind of like
Amazing.
yeah, it's like the beginning of like an origin story of Reds. Well, you know what? I won't tell you who. But there's a bunch of characters that show up that you know you might recognize if you've watched other Mycho movies and
Hmm.
stuff. So that's all fun. And then we're also shooting this month. We start in 2 days. Shooting Bannister Doll Heist, which is the sequel to Bannister Dollhouse.
Right.
It's like a heist movie.
Nice.
It's basically like Child's Play meets Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, wow.
So that should hopefully be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Which is why my house looks like full of props and everything behind it right now because it's just we're prepping for that. Yeah, and then it's on to maximum cleavage for the summer to try and keep ourselves busy and kind of get some stuff ready to take into post for
Yes.
the autumn and the winter. So it's
And I haven't forgotten that I had an idea at Romford Horror Festival.
oh yeah.
And then I never got back to you on it because I've just been wrapped up doing, I don't know, a million different things, but it's
Uh,
still there. I've got plans.
okay, good,
So I
good.
will get
I'm
back to you on
excited
that
about that
one.
one.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
secret one. So now I've just
Oh, yeah.
made
We'll
people
we'll have to
curious.
announce something at some point, then.
Yeah, we'll announce
Now,
something at
otherwise
some
people
point.
will be
Yeah, now it's out there, so now we have to, but
yeah.
I'll get back to you on that one.
All right, cool, cool.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck with filming next week, and good luck with the rest of
Thank
your
you.
crowdfunder. And I
Thank
will
you very much.
hopefully see you soon at something.